So, I've been asked by Flame Tree Press to say a few words about Mr. Campbell, whose work I've been reading for over 30 years, which is only half the number of years he's been actually writing, so I'm doing my best. So rather than go, talk about all his work, I admire almost his entire body of work, short stories, many of the novels. I thought I'd focus on the first Ramsey Campbell novel I ever read. Possibly after reading Stephen King's Danse Macabre, very influential section of an essay in that book, which discussed Campbell and convinced me that, with a view to gaining a good understanding of modern horror fiction, is enough I should read. And I think possibly I bought this book from a second-hand store because it had been out for a while when I came to read it, but it was Incarnate, and it's possibly my favourite, along with Midnight Sun, Grin of the Dark. I would say those three are my favourite Campbell novels, but this one especially, I think this is probably pitch perfect. It's quite a long book, and the challenge of getting dark material right across so many pages and words is immensely challenging, because a lot argue that horror fiction works best in its short form, in a short story form, of which obviously Campbell's a great master, or the novella, because you can sit there and read it in one sitting, whereas a novel, a lot more challenging. You've got to sustain the reader's interest, because there'll be reading sessions where they'll put the book down, they'll probably sleep between reading sessions. So how do you keep the reader gripped across multiple reading periods? And this book is a very, like a case study example of how to do that. It's genuinely weird. That's weird with a capital W. It's so many horror fiction has weird episodes, or some scary kind of things, but this is genuinely unsettling. It's the atmosphere. It's based on, if you've not read it, I'm sure many of you have, but it's based on kind of dreams and a dream experiment in a kind of psychological university setting, which infects characters' lives long after the thing. And Campbell, what he does in this book is really capture the essence of dreams and how reality and dreams kind of relate to each other. Kind of the dream state infects the character's perception of the lived world, the physical, tangible world. So buildings will extend with like more staircases than they should have. There's an absolutely truly disturbing scene, and one that lingers in my mind, about an old elderly lady who is laying in bed simply, and she's breathing, and across multiple chapters, the way Campbell just builds up this sense of this menace and this otherworldliness of this elderly lady in a bed just simply breathing is just remarkable. It's truly memorable. It's like the best horror fiction down the years. I think this book, having read it 30 years ago, and perhaps once or twice since, this book is the one that has really got under my skin and stayed there, and the ending. So many. The other thing about horror fiction, I find sometimes it tends towards kind of overblown finales, kind of like the whole town gets destroyed, or things burn down, or Stephen King, often, as brilliant as he is, sometimes succumbs to it. So he does say that about himself. He tends to, kind of like panting melodrama is the phrase he uses. But the ending of horror fiction, horror books, horror novels, is often hard to pull off without resorting to this kind of like gung-ho type explosive finale. But this one does it in a very quiet and stylish and elegant manner, and I just can't recommend it enough. If you've not read it, you should do so, because it's just a masterpiece from start to finish, and by no means the only one in Campbell's output. Like this, try Midnight Sun, Grin of the Dark. Grin of the Dark is more of a quintessential Campbell novel. I think it's idiosyncratic. It's the novel that only he could have written. I think only he could have written this and Midnight Sun, but Grin of the Dark is so uniquely Campbell, with its use of language and shifting perceptions and all kinds of things. That's one for the connoisseurs. So ease yourself into Campbell with this one. Work through the other novels. The Influence is a good starter, and then get yourself up to the more recent work, where his prose style, which has changed immensely over the years, his prose style becomes so uniquely him, that, as Stephen King says, it might as well have a little trademark. I think it's Martin Amis who says that certain prose styles need a little TM after it, trademark, and that's, the great stylists, and Campbell is certainly one of them. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about Campbell. So I envy you first reading if you've not read him before, and if you have read him before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you. Goodbye.